Hey everybody, this is Soul Train, and welcome to How to Birdie 101. Birdie is such a fantastic character to play, with ridiculous damage potential, crazy range, and some really fun mix-ups. And I really hope you grow to love him as much as I have, even with only a few days in the beta and a heck of a lot of watching of other people's footage. Now, this guide is broken down into 5 parts, and each of them is something that was a big step in my learning process with Birdie. In no way have I mastered him, but hopefully this video will help you improve a little or at least get a jump on learning him. Of course, all this is from beta experience and is subject to change with future patches, but I do feel that the points touched on here are pretty core to the basic character playstyle, and that most of it will still apply to the final Street Fighter V build. Now, Birdie's range is just monstrous, and understanding it is critical to the character. I drew up a quick range and utility comparison of his basic footsie tools, and of course there are more great moves than these, but this is just a quick way to grasp 5 of his strongest and simplest normals. And of course, hanging chain is not a normal, but I threw it in there because I thought the comparison would be interesting. Now, pause the video if you want, but we're going to move on so I can highlight a few interesting aspects of his normals. First up is Heavy Punch. Just look at that range. It's almost completely safe on block, and just learn that range, love it, and abuse it because no one can match it. But you actually have a greater range normal, and that's Forward Heavy Punch. It has a single hit of armor starting in frame 7-ish, and that's roughly when Birdie's fist hits the floor. From my testing, that's what I came out with. Now let's check out Hanging Chain's reach here. The fireball is practically on me, and it still managed to go through. Learn this and use it when they're trying to zone you out. Now, because of Birdie's wonky hand animation, the normal throw is actually a lot closer to his body than it looks. You can see right there, it's actually inside the crouching medium punch. And this is the comparison I made up of all of his normals, plus the special. So take a look here, pause the video if you want, but for now we're going to move on to point 2. This might be one of the most important points here. Since Birdie doesn't have an easy anti-air dragon punch, you need to be on point here. If the opponent jumps at you and forces you to block, you've already failed. But fortunately, Birdie has a few tools to help with this. Most importantly in those tools, Crouching Medium Punch. It comes out very fast, steps Birdie forward slightly, and has a great vertical hitbox. That hitbox actually extends to his shoulders as well, so you can hit somebody if they're trying to jump over you. But you time this right, it'll stop every jump in near you, and that's the hard part. Since the move comes out so fast, it's easy to whiff when you panic. But if you go too slow, since you're crouching, you'll just get a full combo. Beat the timing for this into yourself, and your Birdie game will really improve. Now he also has Crouching Heavy Punch, which is more to be used when the opponents are jumping in less deep and from a little further away. Be aware that you will eat a heavier punish if you whiff this, so in general you want to default to Crouching Medium Punch. And you can, of course, use Standing Heavy Punch with its crazy range to anti-air, but only if the opponents jump from way out in front of you. Heavy Hanging Chain also works great as an anti-air, but more as a hard read. So hold the button down just to swing the chain a bit, and if they jump, let go, and if not, just cancel it with Punch and move on. And finally, we have Bullhorn. Hold a punch, let it go, anti-air. Technically one of your quickest options, but it has decently long startup. Also, the spacing is a little strange, as it hits just a bit in front of you and almost entirely vertically, so practice that. Fortunately, it has almost entirely projectile invulnerability, but don't use it to land right in the opponents like I did here, or you will eat a punish. And if you time it too late, then you'll just land on the projectile. Instead, use it wisely against zoners, so that you will be able to threaten them with your pokes while still being safe. Now, Birdie does damage, and because of that, his BnBs are pretty simple. The first one is just Crouching Light Punch, Standing Light Punch to Light Bullhead. That's it. Get this combo down, because with Crouching Light Punch's great range and speed, you will be landing this combo a lot. Now also be comfortable with just one Crouching Light Punch to Standing Light Punch, because as you can see here, sometimes it would be too far away to make both Crouching Light Punches hit. Get comfortable with both, learn their ranges, and you'll be maximizing damage quite well. Birdie's second bread and butter is just Medium Punch to Medium Bullhead. And you will also land this a lot, as it is your go-to punish combo when somebody whiffs something, and medium punch is just another great footsie tool to fish with. Now, of course, you can add the jumping attack of your choice. I prefer heavy kick or the cross-hit medium punch, but you have to make sure that the timing does not throw you off. Practice these combos until you get them 5 times in a row, going both directions in training mode. And some quick notes here. First, particularly with jump medium punch, make sure you delay it, because it does not have long hit stun at all, and if you don't do it deep, the opponent won't be able to block. Second, Birdie is all about burst damage, of doing over half their life bar with one combo, so make sure you get down bullhead to critical art, because you can combo out of all of these into your finisher there. And finally, light kick to light punch does combo. It's just a bit quicker, but has slightly less range than crouching light punch, but it is worth knowing. And now we get to Birdie's weakness, Rushdown. Now, without an invincible reversal, Birdie is very vulnerable on wake up, and you want to avoid the situation as much as possible with your great anti-airs. Of course, no one's perfect and the opponent will get in. But once that happens, you need to be ready with the options you have, and there are 2. The first of them are your get-up options. Do not just let the opponent set up on you like this. Instead, use quick rise or back rise. Quick rise is done by just hitting down or punches when you hit the ground, and it's a great way to keep momentum going once you're hit. Back rise is a great tool as well. Just hit back or all kicks on wake up, and Birdie will scooch back just enough to often throw off the opponent's offensive spacing. Now here, Ryu's going to try to cross me up with a jumping medium kick, but because I did the back rise, it's going to hit in front of me, and I get to block normally. Mix-up avoided. Be sure to vary these get-up options, and I'm sure the opponent will have a much harder time rushing you down. Finally, we have the V reversals. Since this mechanic is so new, players are barely using it now. But this will be very important later, especially for Birdie players. Since Birdie lacks an invincible reversal to get out of frame traps, it's critical that any Birdie mains master the V reversal. First, know that it is unsafe and slow. Don't use it when opponents are mashing lights on you, and they can easily bait this out. Instead, learn the timing on your opponent's combos, and when they force you to block a laggier yet unpunishable attack. This is actually a fantastic option against Bison's scissor kicks, for example. Second, Birdie has a ton of health and will easily build V-gauge. Don't be afraid to burn the extra meter for their V reversal so that you can reset the situation and apply pressure of your own. Birdie has one of the more unique V skills in the game. Either eating a donut, which gains them a third of his V gauge bar, a can, or a banana, both of which only fill a tenth of one bar. And this fills V gauge, or creates pressure. These can allow Birdie to gain quick access to V reversals, which we already talked about, or his deadly V trigger very fast. As all 3 versions of the skill leave you open, knowing when to eat is critical. Obviously, don't eat when something's flying at your face. You can be hit for precisely 1 second while using the can or the banana, but the donut is a slightly faster at about 0.8 seconds of unsafe use. So we use these then first on knockdown. Here you can see we had time for 2 full donuts. And then here, again, time for 2 full donuts, and we could still block. This is only when the opponent doesn't quick rise, but you can always get at least 1 donut in, depending on spacing. Now here, notice the quick rise into EX Fireball after just 1 donut, but it's still safe. Now if the opponent was on knockdown right next to me, I'd probably go for a cross-up or something safer. Now uniquely as one of the heavier characters, Birdie is actually fine at full screen, because this gives him more opportunities to cram some donuts down his throat. Just know who can punish you at full screen and who can't, so you don't open yourself up unnecessarily. Finally, Birdie can be terrifying, and when you get the read that the opponent is scared, use some V skills. Now a good opponent will be able to read this, so you have to be careful, but it is an option. Now we know the donut is used to quickly fill V-gauge, but the can and banana are very different in that they're much more useful for setups and pressure. The second they're out, the situation is in your favor. Of course, I'm sure we'll find a bunch of awesome Birdie setups in the future, but here's some simple ones just to get you started. First, get a knockdown, then throw a can out there. wait a beat to see if they're blocking, and if they are, go for the heavy Bull Revenger. This is something really simple, really fun, but is notably unsafe if they see it coming. Now if the opponent then tries to jump over the can, that's when you pull out the heavy hanging chain. Of course, this hit punch to cancel that if it doesn't work out. Finally, if you get a knockdown, and say you get the can again, like as shown here, don't be afraid to throw out a banana, especially if you're closer to the corner. Bananas are fantastic because they instantly create a huge zone where the opponent does not want to be. They make for really nasty corner setups as the opponent is forced to block on wake up. I've had some fun doing banana training mode combos, but have done them very little in actual matches. Experiment yourself, see what you can come up with. And now, V-Trigger. As players master it, this is what I really feel will make Birdie scary as the metagame develops. First, know that it's unsafe. You need time or a knockdown to get it off, and in the latest build it looks like they even made it an anti-air, which is fantastic, but we'll stick with the first beta for now. Just like we said with V-Skills, don't eat in somebody's face or you're going to get bopped. As we mentioned before, if you get a knockdown and the opponent does not quick rise, it gives you enough time for 2 actions, one of which can be a donut, and the second your V-Trigger activation. Also, Bullhead and Bullhorn now have startup armor, meaning Birdie now has 2 reliable reversals to beat out any buttons the opponent dares to push. Note that this is just 1 hit of armor, so Chun-Li's V-Trigger will eat this alive, so be careful. Now, of course, you can combo easily from this great reversal move into your critical art for some absolutely massive damage. Worth noting, you cannot combo Bullhead straight into critical art if the opponent is slightly higher in the air when you hit them with the Bullhead. Now, when I have access again to training, I'll check out some alternate timings of this, but it's worth knowing. Used well, V-Trigger should shut down the opponent's offense and make them terrified to hit buttons. This is when you mix things up. Throw in the heavy Bull Revenger shown here, or going for the heavy hanging chain. Altogether, V-Trigger makes Birdie incredibly scary, as now he not only has a fantastic anti-air and a strong reversal option, both of which can combo into his critical art for over half of the opponent's life bar, but these all beautifully condition opponents for his regular mix-up game. V-Trigger scares your opponent, and Birdie is built to punish fear. Final recap and notes. Now I'm going to move on here, pause the video if you want, but I want to get to some of the more interesting closing comments we have. First, when you activate V-Trigger, be patient. I timed it to last for roughly 64 seconds without using Bullhead or Bullhorn. Second, when you hold a punch button, I prefer medium, you can advance and have an instant access to a devastating anti-air and an almost safe light Bullhead. I have yet to see the latter punished on block, but I'm sure it's possible somehow. Combine these two to counter everything the opponent does and push them into the corner. That's where everything will combo into your critical art, even the Bullhorn, and that should be terrifying. And once they're terrified, punish. With Bull Revenger, Hanging Chain, whatever. Once they're scared of Birdie, you've already won. Now, there is so much more to this character, but hopefully this video helped you speed up your Birdie learning process a little bit. I'd love to hear how you expand on these basics and what fun setups you come up with. Maybe when the game drops, there will be a Birdie 202, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.